Alright guys, so yesterday was rainy and dreary and stormy. We are actually super glad that the storms went further south than they were talking about, because otherwise they were saying we could have gotten hit with some pretty nasty stuff. So I'm not going to complain that we just had rain and a couple claps of thunder, but we spent the majority of yesterday in the kitchen canning rabbit, because things look a little different down here in the rabbitry. As you can see, we have one pretty girl here. She is expected. You can see we got the nest set up for her. She will be a first-time mama. And so she stayed. And our buck stayed. Isn't he pretty? I just love this buck. But everybody else went to freezer camp, as we call it around here. I will get into that a little bit more. During the canning process, about why and stuff like that. But yeah, everything in here is looking a little different. Cages are empty. We are getting ready for this baby to come. And so without further ado, let's go can up these rabbits that we put in the freezer, that we put in jars. Let's go can up these rabbits that we are making into shelf-stable ingredients. That's better, right? Right. Hello guys, and welcome back. Today we have quite a bit of stuff on the agenda. We just butchered 6 of our rabbits to take our numbers down a little bit. We had lots of rabbits that were ready to go, and we had 2 does that I could not get bred back. And so we decided that we were not going to continue to feed them if they were not going to continue to produce for us. So in the fridge we have 6 rabbits ready to go. I've already cooked them down and stripped the carcasses and then turned the carcasses into broth. I can explain a little bit how I did that, but that's where we're at currently. We are going to can that up, both the broth and the rabbit meat, so that we have something shelf stable and I don't have to take up precious freezer space with. So we've got a lot to do. We want to clean up this kitchen a little bit more before we get started. We got distracted doing a few other things, and now we need to see what we need to do with this. Low acid foods. Okay. Rabbit and squirrel.
Rabbit and squirrel.
Bones may be left in.
Yeah.
Pack meat into hot jars, leaving 1-inch headspace. Ladle hot water or broth over meat. Now I did make broth out of those carcasses, so I'm thinking for flavor-wise, I might pack these in broth instead of canning the broth separate. So I'm not decided on that, but I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do.
Does that almost look like a heart?
Almost. Did you trace it?
Yeah.
So there's no bones in here. So we need quarts, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 10 pounds of pressure. So 60. So we're going to can this for 90 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure.
Yeah.
And if you're curious what book we're using today, this is the old blue book, Guide to Preserving by Ball. This is one of my grandma's really old canning sleeves. Yep, books that came from the U.S. Department of Agriculture a long time ago. But yeah, today we're getting our references out of the Blue Book Guide to Canning. I do have a newer one of these, but this is the one I tend to grab, probably because it's all slobbed up already and it has notes and stuff in it. So we're going to leave that out in case we need that. I'm going to grab some jars. We're going to get this filled up. This is our pressure canner.
And a pressure canner.
This is our pressure canner. You guys have seen this before. This one is our All-American. About 3 inches of water in here. Whoops, we don't need 2 of these in here. Just one will do. So these, you can see it's got a little itty bitty lip on it. This is just to keep our jars from sitting directly on the bottom of our canner, which is what you don't want to do. I've always been told that that'll cause your jars to crack. So we always use these little, this is just a little rack that sits in the bottom of our canner and keeps our jars from touching the direct bottom of the canner. And this one, because if we use pints, we can double stack in here. So this one has 2 and we don't need 2 in there. Just one. Right.
And
Whoever said rabbit doesn't have any fat on it.
whoever said rabbit, whoever doesn't have fat on it.
I don't know, that looks like a fair amount of fat to me. But that's our bunny broth.
But that's a bunny broth. What are you putting that in?
So we're gonna dump that in because that has to come to a boil. And I told myself I was gonna try to be better today, keeping up on my dishes as I go.
That almost looks like a heart or a house.
That almost looks like a face. I see a nose and 2 lips and a chin and a forehead. Vicky's.
Is this one making too?
Nope, those ones are clean.
I do a little ant.
Okay.
What would you say?
What do you want to say?
And this story has yes ends. And this story really has no ends. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
And this story really has no ends.
Okay.
And this story really has yes ends. And this story really has yes ends. And this story...
So it's not exactly uncommon for people to ask us what we use rabbit for. And maybe as you guys can kind of see, the texture and the color, etc. is quite close to chicken. And so that's kind of what we use rabbit for. If we're not going to roast it plain, which you guys have, I think, seen us do in some videos if you've been with us for a while. But then I'm going to take that leftover rabbit and I'm going to use it in just about anything I'm going to use chicken in. So a lot of times we'll turn it into like tacos or a pasta dish or anything you would use kind of like your leftover chicken with. And even the broth, kind of, you guys saw it, looks similar to chicken broth. It smells very similar to chicken broth. There is maybe not quite as much fat that came off of these rabbits, but that's okay. So we kind of treat rabbit like the chicken we grow. I just don't have to rely on a hatchery to come up with baby chicks. I can do everything start to finish here at home by myself. When I butcher them, I don't need to hook up the scalder. I don't have to strip feathers, nothing like that. So it's kind of convenient in a way. They do take a little longer than the broilers we raise, because the broilers we raise only take 8 weeks. These guys are, because my stock is a cross between a Rex and the New Zealands, they are taking about 15 to 16-ish weeks to be ready. But by then they are, they are 5 pounds and they give us a good carcass. So just something to think about if you guys are considering raising rabbit. Ooh, found a little bone. Rabbits are full of these little itty bitty bitty bones, which is why I'm cutting this up again a little smaller, because why in the tarnation did you cook up those rabbits as soon as you butchered them? Just to spend time putting them in jars and then cooking them again. Well, first off, I am looking to save myself freezer space. Freezer space around here is not the easiest thing to come by when you are raising pigs either, and chickens. I would rather have my beef and my pork in my freezer and my chicken and my rabbits in jars. That's just our personal opinion. That's just how I cook. See, another super tiny little itty bitty bunny bone. As many meal ready ingredients on my pantry shelf as possible right now before this baby comes. I want to make postpartum for myself and my husband as easy as possible. And I do not want to resort to eating takeout and eating junk. Alright, so apparently somewhere along the lines I lost my ladle. So we're going to use this and try not to make too big of a mess. Oh, great for you. Oh, one mess. Okay, that's great. So we're going to do the same with all these guys. I'm not going to worry with watching me do all of them. Some of these I think I'm going to run out of broth, so we're probably going to pack some of them in water, and that's just fine. Alright, now we have a good steady stream of steam coming out of our vent. We are going to set a timer for 10 minutes, let this vent for 10 minutes, and then we're going to put our weight on and let it come to pressure. So this is what we have left of our rabbit. And I think I'm just going to turn this into taco meat for tonight because I didn't take anything out for dinner. So we've got dinner covered. We're going to clean up our mess. And here I thought I was going to run out of broth. And we actually have a little bit left. So I think we're going to measure that out, probably in our already dirty container. And instead of running the canner for, I probably wouldn't even have the minimum requirement to run the canner. I think I'm just probably going to freeze this. And then I can just pull it out whenever I need it and throw it in the pot or the pan or whatever I need to use it for. Alright, so our timer just went off. So now we're going to take our weight, and we want 10 pounds, so I want it facing down this way. We are going to put that right on there, and that is going to build pressure. Our gauge will start to go up, and when we hit 10 pounds, our weight will start to jiggle, and then we can start our timer, or the countdown. We can start the countdown. Alright, our gauge is showing 10 pounds, so our weight should jiggle any second, and as soon as it does, I'm going to start down the countdown. There's our first jiggle. Alright guys, so as you can see here, these have sat for about 16 hours. Oh, one bad seal. So that's how I test my seals. You guys could hear that one. Didn't sound quite right, and then it just popped off. So I took the bands off them when I started my dishes a little earlier, ran them through the dishwasher. They had definitely sat at least 12 hours. So I'll put Put a different band and lid on this one. And pop that right into the fridge. And we'll use this one up so it doesn't go bad. Sure, I'm looking for a lid and I can't find one. That's how it always goes, right? Here we'll go with this. But, sometimes that happens, especially when stuff is pretty greasy. As you can see, we did have some siphoning on these. And that's my fault. I had that canner going pretty high when we started. I wanted to really get these done. So if I'd have brought my canner up probably a little slower and then leveled it out a little slower, we probably wouldn't have lost so much juice on these. But everybody has at least half of the amount of juice. If they say if it goes below half, it's no longer safe. At least that's what I've always been taught. So these will still be safe. I am going to wash these in my sink a lot like I do my jellies. You guys have seen me do that. And then we will put what the product is and the date on the top. And these will be shelf stable ingredients ready to go on our pantry shelf for when I want an easy and quick meal. It's kind of like fast food, but better, right? How you doing in here, Winnie? Dave says her name is Winona, but Winnie just comes out so fast and so easy. Oh, his boss. Huh? How you doing, babe? Huh? Well, you've piqued somebody else's interest. Hey, cow. Hi. I know you're still not so sure, but you're braver. Yeah, I know. You're getting brave, huh? Yeah. Hi. Hi. Oh. Who's a nice cow? We got 2 nice cows? 2 nice cows. I know I should have treats now, huh? Should I go get you some treats? I know you're looking for your treats. You spoiled thing, you.